Alrighty. I apologize for the late start. Meeting is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting school corporation's business. It is not to be considered a public community meeting. There may be time for public participation as indicated by agenda item or as directed by the president. The meeting site is fully accessible. Any person requiring further accommodation should contact the superintendent at the school corporation's central office. The meeting will be electronically recorded and will be kept on file in the superintendent's office. A copy of the audio recording will also be available on the NLCS website. The website address is www.nlcs.k12.in.us. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Let the record reflect that all board members, 6 of us, are here, and Dr. Gerges is Zooming. And could we get a rise and uncover, say the pledge? First, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a review for approval of minutes, executive session memorandum of July 30th, 2020.
Motion.
Mr. Gilbert makes the motion in a second.
Second.
Mr. Garrison seconds the motion. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Thank you. Item D, persons to address the board relative to the agenda. If you wish to make public comments on items relative to the agenda, please place the completed comment card on the podium prior to the start of the meeting. As a reminder, during public comments, the board and administration will not be answering questions, and there's a 3-minute time limit. First up, Ed Bay.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to address you. This past week, I sent you an email, all the members. I just want to read that into the record now. North Lawrence School Board. It's quite obvious the decision to install AstroTurf at B&L has already been made. Since Ty Mungle was not here when some of you wanted to borrow $27 million to build a sports complex, it's also obvious that this AstroTurf decision is not his idea. This boondoggle is a workaround to get at least a little bite of the $27 million mentioned earlier. Mr. Mungle's lack of preparation and inability to provide information demonstrates to even the most uninformed taxpayer this is a done deal. At least 4 votes in favor are already secure. Shame on you all. When you should be laser focused on getting our schools reopened, you're having a simulated debate about artificial turf. Adults, some with professional degrees, determined to use smoke and mirrors to justify a decision that can be easily put off a year or even 2 till the results of the disastrous school consolidation and COVID-19 can truly be measured. This is nothing more than a distraction. Maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not. This loan application and AstroTurf absolutely, without a doubt, needs to be tabled until 2021. There's no doubt in my mind that not the first one of you has called and talked to the folks in Seymour, Columbus, North Vernon, or any of the other places Ty Mungle says we must compare our school system to, must emulate in order to compete? Have any of these systems had to borrow money to pay for this luxury? Have they just closed down 25% of the schools in their systems? Have any of them been threatened with a state takeover because they were unable to manage their budgets? You don't know because you haven't asked, and that includes the newspaper and radio station. Mr. Mungle has no plan beyond artificial grass, and that plan's not his. 7 of you want to borrow a $5.5 million slush fund based on claims by Ty Mungle that the money will be needed to fix HVAC and roofs. Yet he has not provided any information about which air conditioner and which roof will need repair. No location, no price, no contract. 7 of you want to borrow $200,000 lender's fees to borrow this money based on claims made with no support. No reasonable person believes this is a good idea. If you're too lazy to investigate Ty Mungle's claims, then please resign from your school board position. In 2019, the 7 of you wasted $300,000 plus on Gary Connor's resignation. You all followed that up with a disastrous school consolidation, and now you're giving approval to borrow a $5.5 million slush fund to buy artificial grass at the high school. How many students will it serve? Will it improve scores on statewide tests? Will it improve graduation rates? No, but it will cost a fortune to keep up, and it will need to be replaced in less than 10 years. Lawrence County taxpayers are getting screwed here in a very big way. In my opinion, Lawrence County taxpayers would be better served by a state takeover of our school system. If you will not listen to those who put you in office, those who you have ignored when making what has proven to be costly, wrong decisions, then you all should resign. Pushing ahead before the election is a sleazy tactic better used by state and local national candidates. Given all the facts, this is not acceptable to Lawrence County taxpayers and voters. Regards, Ed Bay. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Next
Next up.
For the inaccuracies in it, you can.
Okay.
Next up, Eric Berger.
Thanks for letting me speak again this evening in support of this project that you're working on for the kids in the community. You've heard a lot of the positives, and you've heard me talk about how I've been to a lot of these schools and worked with these staffs and worked with the kids on these fields and seeing what they're able to do with them. One thing that hit me the other night at practice was, when we're doing these clinics and have student teachers in, I'm trying to recruit them to stay here and teach when jobs open up. And a lot of the guys coming through college right now have only been on those types of fields, through high school, through college, and that's the type of facilities they're looking for. And if we're looking down the road for the future and trying to get our kids to have the best staff around, that's the type of stuff that's going to bring them here. My last student teacher just left for Texas because it was state of the art, like a small college campus on that high school. So I'm not getting any younger. I'm sure my year's coming soon. And I would love to see one of these young directors that I'm working with and doing all these incredible things for kids want to come here. But if they feel there's a disadvantage, it's going to kind of scare them away. They're looking for a place where they have an advantage to do well and to succeed and do great things for kids. So thanks for continuing to look at the project and gathering information. But just hit me the other day about the future of our staff and drawing people here to Bedford to work with our kids. But thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Item
I just got one comment on the AstroTurf. Some of you board members are new, some of you are been here a while. I've been told that at one time we had a person that's gonna donate the AstroTurf. Is that true or not true? Okay,
Not that I know of. I don't remember, do you?
okay, I was told that, so I was just, if someone's gonna donate, that'd be great. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Item F, or item E, I'm sorry, claims and payroll. Mrs. Rome.
Thank you, Mr. President and Board. Since our last board meeting, we had claims and payroll in the amount of $2,955,909.75. Let me say that again. $2,955,009.75. Seeking your approval for these claims and payroll.
Get a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Arnold makes the motion. Second.
Second.
Mr. Gillespie seconds the motion. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item F, Dr. Mungle.
Mr. President and Board, first up this evening, I've invited several different people to come and speak to the board as we get our new programs for next year. I know we had Mr. Slagle come. Shelley Pritchett is here this evening with the North Lawrence Learning Center, which is our Playful Pathways. So, and it's just so many good things. I think after one of our board meetings, we'll have to go down. Stalker is starting to transform, and I'm thankful that Shelley was able to come, and I think can share maybe a little bit of your history in the district, just her past with working with our preschool age children and what we're so excited about at our Early Learning Center. Mrs. Pritchett.
Thank you. I'm excited to get to come and just thank you for believing in early childhood, because we're not just going to excite 3 to 5-year-olds. We're going to impact our community, because that's what early childhood does. So thank you all. Thank you for our leadership and that support. I really appreciate that. Playful Pathways is moving forward. It is my love. About 29 years ago, I was setting up my classroom at Stalker to become your first developmental preschool teacher. So coming back and being your early childhood coordinator is an absolute thrill. Thank you for that also. A gym full of toys and furniture has been distributed now into about 7 classrooms. We have 3 classrooms targeted for full-day childcare. Those classrooms are looking beautiful. They are spacious. We have new flooring, fresh paint. They're clean, they're beautiful, they're well-stocked, and they have amazing teachers who have been here hours and hours and hours in this process this summer. We have 4 developmental preschool classes, the classrooms that we brought over from Parkview. Again, a gym full of toys has been distributed into those classrooms. The preparations are being made. It's an honor to work with these teachers and these paraprofessionals who have devoted so much time this summer, their own time, to come in and make this happen in such a beautiful way. So know that you have an amazing early childhood staff. It's just looking beautiful. We're so excited. We're going to be active. We're going to be play-based, because we know that when children play, they make the connections in their brain that build learning. And that's what we want. We want exciting learning, hands-on things. We're so excited. Our teachers got to participate in Project Lead the Way training for STEAM. I'm so excited about that. They talked to me the other day. They're like, we need a STEAM playground. I'm like, oh my goodness, let's get open and then let's sit down and talk about it. So the excitement is so there. Our baseline curriculum is the creative curriculum. I feel like it's the gold standard early childhood curriculum. I looked at several curriculums this summer as we were in that process of deciding, and I'm just thrilled with it and how it will be used across our program through our developmental program as well as our community program. And that will help us in the future continue to merge those programs into a large continuum of services for all of our kids. We continue to use conscious discipline. We know that children today need to work on relationships and feelings and self-regulation, so they're ready for the rigors that come after preschool. So that's also going to be a part of our program. So many exciting things are happening. Dr. Mungle beat me to the punch. I was going to say, we've got to have milk and cookies at Playful Pathways before a board meeting, and allow me to take you on a tour and really show off and show you everything that's going on there. So that's just an update, and I just so much appreciate the chance to come and see you this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks for the invitation for snacks.
You can count on
Do
it.
that soon.
You can ask Dr. Mungle. I can make a mean cookie. So, thank you again.
Thank you.
Well, you can hear the enthusiasm, and I think Mrs. Pritchett has been around and seen a lot of programs, and I think for the other school districts that have ventured out in the early learning center field and our preschools and childcare, and to know that it is coming to North Lawrence, it's exciting, and the entire staff at Stalker is very excited about what's going on. So anyway, thank you for coming. First up, I have for you this evening, item number 1 for the board's approval is the agreement with Wolpert Engineering. This is the engineering agreement just to be able to go through and do apply for the different county and state permits, the geo permits through IDEM and all those qualifications, and bring that information back to the board. This is the first step that we need to do as far as in approving this agreement. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to entertain. They're not available to be here this evening, but they did present at our last board meeting.
We'll entertain a motion. Mr. Gillespie makes the motion. Second.
Second.
Mr. Gilbert seconds the motion. Questions on the motion?
I don't have a question, just more of a comment, and I've said this before. I'm not opposed to turf. I love to see Mr. Berger come and his excitement with the band, and you know, a lot of people just think sports and this is just going to help our sports kids, but I realize it can help a lot of our kids. So this has nothing, what I'm going to say has nothing to do with turf. My only issue with this spending is that we have a limited amount of money. I know it sounds like a lot of money, $5 million plus dollars, but once you start spending it, it goes quickly, as we all know. So my reservation is that I would like to see a list of everything that we need done within our schools, approximate cost, just to make sure that we have enough money for all the projects that we need done, because obviously turf would be a big chunk right off the top. So I just want to say that.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I've done a lot of, what is that for?
It's your mic and your iPads on.
No, I'm
No,
not.
it's just
Oh, it's not?
Just turn it on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I too support the part of the turf project, but I think that we need to look at some other projects that would be beneficial to the VNL campus, other than, you know, spending so much money on turf. But I understand that this will cover us for all of the projects should we in the future decide to do more. But, you know, I know we have at least one roof and we have some HVAC that needs to be addressed, and I understand we have the money set aside for that, but I would like to see us look at some other projects around VNL.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same.
Aye.
Motion's passed.
And I think just to respond while we're on that topic and to let you know, we are fortunate. With the previous bond that was purchased, the $2 million, we are getting close to getting it expended down. Obviously with COVID, do you know approximately how much we have left of that bond?
I just turned into, I think it was right at 350,000 left.
Okay, so we do have about $350,000 left from the previous bond. We are fortunate, they, obviously with COVID hitting, they've given us an extension to spend that money, which is helpful. But really, in the last year and a half, we have not done those different projects. So the money that we had budgeted in our operations budget, we have that money available, which obviously during COVID and with, you know, if we think back over the last year and a half, we haven't done those HVAC products or the roofs or some things. We have done some things with security wise, cameras at the high school. We did do the entire campus and all the officers in the community have the access to access that from their cars and some different things like that. So I just share that. I don't want, I think this is, I guess, something above and beyond, and we are just allocating that amount. So I do want to reiterate, and I think it's good for the public to know, it's that 2.6 million, and it won't exceed that at the high school campus, and we have the 2.6 million allocated for the other projects. Obviously, the two that we do know is the roofing at Stalker Elementary and the HVAC at Shellswick. I think I will, as we start to proceed, be able to bring you some numbers, and we'll go through that public bidding process and to get some of those numbers for everyone as we look. And I think too, with Mr. Ritter, you know, not being here recently and hiring Mr. Zollman, that we'll have a time to develop a little bit more our plan and kind of what those things would look like. You know, Mr. Arnold, as far as what is our goal next year, 1 to 3 years out, you know, and so I just want to, I wanted to share that while we were on that topic. Next up I have for your approval is the NLCS support staff handbook. This is I guess something that we have taken our time with, and I think we went down and listened to lots of different groups. I've listened to department heads, probably 5 to 10 meetings here with department heads. I had a meeting at Schaefer Auditorium with all the employees, which was very beneficial. And I think the opportunity to hear from them, I developed a spreadsheet, and I know we've reached out and we've communicated to a lot of those employees. And I think initially, probably some of the biggest concerns that they had is that of the 49 days, like we heard, some of those days they weren't maybe getting compensated for, they were losing some of those days. With this plan, if there is any days or a difference in days or hours, however it is defined, there is an additional compensation for that. And I understand that That is a little bit that some individuals would probably welcome the additional 50 cents a raise, for the decrease in hours, because they may have thought about their Social Security and that W-2 amount and how that's going to multiply. And every year that's going to go into an additional money that the corporation pays on their behalf towards Social Security. The same is true for their public employee retirement fund, that we will take 3% of that and what they make in a year, and we will send to the state for their public employee retirement fund. So in some ways, even though it's kind of a equal swap for some of those days, I think from a financial standpoint down the road, it will allow them to have extra money paid on behalf of the corporation into their Social Security and into their public employee retirement fund. And I realize the other effort in doing this was trying to provide some consistency among our employee groups, so that our hourly employees that work year-round, that there's some continuity there. So we've taken steps to do that. Is this what we approve, and does this mean that we won't look at this document anymore? Absolutely not. If we continue to look at this and we need to go back and go through and make some adjustments, or we see something that isn't exactly the way we need to it, or if we need to make some adjustments so we have the availability to go out and recruit employees to a higher level than we're doing now, then we can go back and we can make those adjustments to this in the future. And just in return, the same would be true as if we need to go out and we're not retaining the number of employees. To the best of our ability, Mrs. Winsack or myself, we're having exit interviews. So, if employees go employment elsewhere, we're trying to figure out why is that? Well, it's my hometown. Or, well, I can go here and I received this or that. So that's information that I think we have to be up on, we have to stay up on, and we have to understand. Lastly, the other, I guess, 2 items that some of you probably heard about was the increment pay that we've had in the past. And we have decided to allocate for those individuals that were at the lower level of increment pay, that they would receive twice a year, the $300, that wherever those individuals fall on the scale, they would receive an extra 25 cents an hour. So that is something they had, and they'll continue. And that is why they're receiving that additional compensation. But as far as our payroll office going through and dropping twice a year, that dollar amount, we're including it into that scale. And that is more of a longevity. And then those employees that have been here 20 years or more, to equal out what their longevity pay would be, it would be an additional 50 cents an hour from wherever they fall on that pay scale. And that's where we're just looking at that. And that is why they would receive that additional compensation. The other thing that, as far as rolling over the days, I know initially it was communicated that they would only be able to roll over their sick days into their sick day bank. We did go back, and when we looked at that, and from what they were rolling over previously, they'll be able to roll over their sick days and their personal days into their sick leave bank. So that would be twice as many days now that they could be able to roll over into that bank. And I think to also, I guess, look at the buyout at the end. We did set a limit on the buyout as 10% of what they would have made in the previous year on their W-2. And I think to have some flexibility, so for that employee that was maybe at a higher level or had worked longer, and had a higher salary, that their buyout at the end would be more than someone who, maybe just worked the school year, or maybe just worked 15 hours a week for us, and it wouldn't be the same as a person that was a full year, 40-hour-a-week employee working 2,080 hours. Because we did have quite a bit of range where we have employees that maybe work 1,000 hours a year, all the way up to employees that work 2,080 hours. So I think those are the things. We've worked very hard at it. I know it's taken us a long time, but I think in doing that, it's because we've had multiple meetings, and I wanted to be able to share with you the information. I have to say that Mrs. Roan has done a great job, along with taking time, as obviously after June 30th, our budget process really starts to build up, and all the information we have to send to the state. So in identifying these employees, along with Tammy Jean and Sharon Huber and others in this office, trying to be a part in collecting all of the data that I've presented to you. So by no means, I don't want to think it was all myself, and obviously we've had a number of meetings with JA Benefits, and that was all done in an effort to get our FML language up to date, to get so much of that language that was just outdated and up to Indiana code updated in the handbook. So I bring that to you for your approval tonight.
We get a motion to approve.
Make the motion.
Mr. Gilbert makes the motion in a second. Mr. Garrison seconds the motion. Questions on the motion?
One question, and I think you addressed it, but for the days that they're losing, that they currently get off now,
Yes.
they are going to be paid for those days with this increase dollar for dollar.
Yes, absolutely. Any hours, any difference in the number of hours that they were off currently to what is being proposed, we are taking their daily rate, and we are compensating them for those days. And so they will receive that increase on their August 1st check.
It'll be on their August 28th check, but it will be effective August 1st.
Yes.
Retro.
Ready, yeah.
And then the other thing is they are going to be able to bank enough sick and personal days to allow them, if they have an illness, to take sick and personal days until they are able to draw their disability.
Yes, they could.
I mean, that's up to them.
An employee could draw, an employee every year could bank 2 weeks of sick time and 2 weeks of personal time. So they have 1 month, 4 weeks that they could bank every year.
Okay,
Yeah.
that answered my question.
And I, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I know we talked about this, I don't even know how long ago it's been, on a few meetings ago, a month or two ago, I don't know. Anyway, because I know a staff member had gotten up and spoken, and I think you'd had the meeting at the PAC or wherever with the group. Shaper, okay, but I know a lot of people still had questions, and I know we really, you tried to explain it then as well, and even the person who spoke, I think kind of understood at that point, and we encourage people to come to you or to the admin office to ask their questions or express their current concern. Do you feel like since that time, you've addressed the concerns of the people that have come forward, or?
Yes, I know myself and Mrs. Roan and Tammy Jean, we've all three, been accessible, and I think once we started to kind of communicate the information and look out, it has decreased. And I think part of that was in an effort to, as we met with different department directors of the food service or maintenance or different areas, they were able to kind of share the information. But very good, I mean, both very good points. And I think it was receptive, I mean, in those meetings, because initially we were just going to allow the sick days to go to bank. But then, you know, in hearing that and what's important, because all of this is twofold. It is to attract and retain our employees. It isn't, I mean, this is compensation and we're doing this so we can attract new employees and we can keep the employees we have. So,
Once again, not trying to take anything away from any of the employees. And I'll echo what they, I mean, I've shared with folks that if you have those concerns, that you still, the spreadsheet that we received tonight helps tremendously. And if I hear, you know, any other concerns, I'm once again going to direct them here to the office, and they can be provided this spreadsheet and show them each individual person. This is line item for line item, what you perceive as being taken, it's being given here.
and our goal is, and we won't have it tomorrow, but is to have a sheet for every employee group that clearly shows this is where it was, this is where it's going. It gets a little difficult to put everything on one sheet, as you will see. But, you know, when I talked to Mrs. Tinsley, you know, for the maintenance and the custodians, you'll have one sheet and it will show that information. You know, for our custodians that work year round, 40 hours a week, we'll have a sheet for our custodians that work 180 days, school year, you know, and so on. And we will get that information out to everyone. And I think, you know, as we compile the handbooks and stuff, and the nice thing is, the goal is that those sheets will be right there, not only for our current employees, but when we hire a new employee, it will be in their employee portal. And it's going to be easy to understand. And, you know, you don't have to flip to a 39-page book to find out what day do I get my sick days on, or what day do I get this on, or that information. It's all in an effort for North Lawrence to be a better employer.
There's no question, a lot of that language in there needs cleaned up, and appreciate everybody's efforts in that. Couple questions real quick. Since the initial presentation at BMS, you've added, since the concerns were shared, you've added another week back vacation? Is that correct?
Another week of sick.
Of sick. Okay.
And we've allowed the personal days that are unused to roll into sick days. So those were two things that we got feedback from, and we made those changes. And we went from giving 1 week of sick days a year to 2 weeks of sick leave a year. So most of our year-round employees get 2 weeks of sick days, 2 weeks of personal days. And then many of them, if they've worked here a few years, get 3 weeks of vacation. And that's what we're moving to. So.
And do we have any employees, we've changed the buyout to the 10%.
Right.
Do we have any long-term employees that would, if they retired this year or next year, that are gonna lose?
There was one that we knew of, but that individual already retired, and we had talked about that, and I think the benefit, I mean, we've communicated that, and I'd be happy that it's a personnel, but I can share with you, there was one individual that was on the bubble, and it was nice, and they went ahead. Would it have affected them negatively? very little, if any, because that, we kind of use that to help us determine what the percent should be. Does that make,
Right. So overall, as we've talked about, there were times where days were given, other things were given because we couldn't afford to give an adequate raise. So we gave them extra days and things in years past. And now they may be losing a few that are being compensated for them. But in general terms, we don't have employees who are losing benefits.
No. Not the word benefits. I mean, I went straight to health insurance or, when you said benefits, but even, really, we have taken, in most cases, some paid holidays away, or we've taken maybe some, personal, sick time away. Whereas in the past, maybe some groups got 3 weeks of sick time every year, where we've reduced it to 2, or just depending. But if that was taken away, if 5 days were taken away, they were compensated their daily rate, and that is why we came up with the increase that they're gonna see next week. So if they no longer have those days, we have compensated it for them, whether they're there for them to take or not. We paid them for it.
Any other questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Thank you.
Next up, it is actually, it's printed in the agenda as a voting item, but it's just really an update. I just want to share, I guess, a little bit on athletics. Obviously, as we move closer with our reopening plan, we do know that several middle schools are starting this week to talk about delays and pushing things back until after Labor Day. And I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention. I think today was really the first day we started hearing some of that information. I think we will continue to gather that information. But I wanted to at least just to bring the board up to date and know if you hear that something has been, oh, they postponed or there's no game this week. I mean, we're running into that possibility that, another school has called off or something of that nature. I think the other thing is, as I continue to gather more information and everything we do is more fluid, if it is a possibility, obviously, we may need to suspend or delay or look at something of that nature. I think the same holds true for our high school sports. Several teams have looked at, and they have had to suspend teams. I think right now there is a district close to us who has a volleyball team that is on quarantine in one of the schools in our conference. So we're just monitoring that. I think if my current stance currently is the county health department, the state, the IHSAA, which, the IHSA administers and was really the avenue that hosts the events and kind of hosts the tournaments. But we're all members of the IHSAA. So the IHSAA is kind of taking the back door to, well, you belong to our membership, and the membership really drives the decision. So we're not really making a decision, and there is a governing board of administrators and ADs across the state. Anyway, it is really, I just kind of wanted to share that we are looking at that very closely each day, and if we feel we need to make a decision, I'll communicate that information with you. I wish a lot of times we could quickly convene when those things come across my table, but it is something that probably falls a little bit more into the snow days or those things that I guess I'm the individual that gets blessed with reviewing that information and making that decision. Also on our reopening plan, I know I shared with you the information that we have. I think we continue to look closely at the guidelines at the state level. One of the guidelines, they've looked at more the 3 feet. Obviously, it's an emphasis on our students facing forward. The teachers maintaining their distance and their safe protocol. I do know something, I do know it's something that we're continuing to communicate with our teachers. And I think overall, all of us are very excited to kind of get back with the teachers being able to see the students and the principals. But we also know the importance of taking this seriously. And if there are those protocols and there isn't social distancing and that we need to maintain the mask. And, I know I was at the high school earlier today and some students were walking in and by far a majority of them, almost all, I think there was one, he didn't have his mask and then he goes diving into it in his pocket because he had walked in from outside and he hadn't put it on yet. And, that's something that we're going to have to share, and it's all of us together. And I know historically, obviously, a lot of us, our primary focus was those education and those educational opportunities. And I'm not saying that that's not important, but our schools serve some other roles, and we're a safe, clean environment for many of our students. We provide nutrition to our students. 52% of our students live at or below poverty level, and we provide meals twice a day. We have a school nurse, and we can provide many safety measures, health measures for our students. So I think our focus is that we want to elevate those and realize that we are there and to meet the needs of our students in that way. So we're excited about it. We have tomorrow and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I know our staff, we're lined up to go around and visit all of our schools. We're not having a convocation with everyone together like we've done in the past. And we'll be going and visiting all of the different schools. And I know the schools have been very busy making videos that we'll be sharing on the websites, some bus videos. So we're doing our very best to get ready. And I think, just wanted to kind of provide that update. A lot of it is played, day to day, but the reopening plan that I outlined is more information there for students and our staff. We will be appointing someone here positive test, and even how we handle that if they're are symptomatic or if they're asymptomatic. So we will have one individual here in our admin building, and then we will have one individual signed in each of our schools to monitor that school. And we will have that documentation, who notifies, the other students or the family members or whatever information. But That is obviously not positions or job duties that we've had in the past. But that is something that we will have a district person, district-wide, that will gather all the information, and we'll have someone at each of our schools as well. Any questions on any of that?
Any questions?
I know it's a lot of information, and we've talked about that here about 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. And so when you start sharing the information, there's just so much to share. Well, at this time, then I will let Mrs. Dayton just kind of give an update, our plan with the teachers, and I think just as we move ahead and look forward.
So
Do you have your slides or not?
I do. I think so.
Well, we'll email them to you. I think they're wonderful, and we'll email them to you.
But I wanted to share, so I shared a clear mask last week, and as we're, in this new role, this is a hat we found as we're trying to think about all of our students. It doesn't fit an adult head. As we're thinking about, all of our students, and some students that might not be comfortable wearing a mask, this is another object that we purchased to help just kind of think outside the box and try to make everyone comfortable about coming back in ways that support them. So we have purchased some of these and wanted to make sure and see the size before we purchased more, but especially when we think of our preschool students or our students with special needs, that a mask is restrictive, just trying different options and giving them different options, that this is not the only option. This is something that we wanted to provide. We also have the North Lawrence masks that we have purchased for our buildings, and each building have to pick a color to kind of represent their building. So we have those for teachers as well. But like Dr. Mungle said, we are going out tomorrow, and one of the things that we are preparing and hope that we don't have to use is the plan to go virtual should that need arise for all of our students. And so that's something that we'll be sharing tomorrow with teachers. Not that they'll be implementing it tomorrow, but we know we don't want to scramble and have a week delay in between schools should the need arise to close. And so by teachers knowing expectations and we've collaborated on those expectations, and then being able to share those expectations with students when they have them in the classroom, we hope that we'll have a more successful remote learning process, because there's that continuous discussion. Okay, this is what this would look like if we were home or we were doing this lesson virtually. So we will, as Dr. Mungle said, be around at buildings tomorrow, and then also sharing through elementary through a recording, but because our instructional coaches have taken that lead right now in preparing to go virtual. So they will be teaching leading our K-5 virtual classrooms. And so they have really sunk into what does virtual teaching look like. And so we have one of each of those in our elementary buildings, so we know they can share what they've been doing and how the trials and tribulations that they've overcome as we think about how we can best support all of our learners that have decided to go remote. So we have Monday also for our K-5 virtual students, we have pickup. So those students will receive the workbooks just like our students in person, and Chromebooks, and they'll pick those up. Their parents have been notified, they'll pick those up at the soccer building, and we're excited. I'm excited to see students in the building. And then we also have then 3 days of training lined up for teachers that they can sign up for sessions that they need. So just like we do for our students, we differentiate. We know some students need more and some students need less. And so we have that for our teachers. We have different levels of training based on what they feel comfortable doing and what they feel like they need support in. And so we have those offered at different opportunities throughout Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So again, that if the need arises to go virtual, we've had that time with them now, so we can hit the ground running should that need to close.
What is the enrollment update on the virtual?
So we are at K-8, we are at about 800 students. Or not K-8, sorry, K-12. K-12. it has grown quite a bit.
And you might share a little bit how we're providing and we've pulled the instructional coaches.
Yes, and so for K through 5, we
Reassigned, I guess.
reassigned, yes, our instructional coaches, trying not to pull people out of the classroom that we're preparing. We started with our instructional coaches and have actually moved to supporting our reading specialists, again, trying not to disrupt that classroom and in-person instruction. And so they have been working and planning, and initially, I thought, oh, we could have them teach 2 grades because the numbers were lower, and just as they've grown and grown, we have, we're looking at 2 per 2, they're virtual instructors per grade level, K-5, and they'll start as one team, because it's just like in the classroom, it's going to be procedures and expectations, although in a virtual environment, and then they'll split, because we know our students have 2 weeks to decide if they would like to switch back to in-person. So we want to make sure that they'll split the class to the 2 teachers once that 2-week window is over, and go over things together as kind of team teaching or co-teaching at the beginning.
Any other questions for Maggie?
Hey, Trent,
Thank you, Maggie. Item H, personnel, Mrs. Winzak.
Thank you. We're very happy to have some new hires under certified. We have Molly, actually Embry now. She's married, sorry about that. Need more instructor. Lori DeBrunner, NLCS music instructor. Ashley Singh, Playful Pathways Developmental Preschool Special Ed instructor. Under support, we have Allison Kovacs, B&L nurse. Casey Berger, Shawswick instructional assistant. Heather Machida, Parkview instructional assistant. Megan Stapp, Parkview health aide. Misty Taylor, Olytic campus health aide. Brittany Webb, Shawswick health aide. I bring those to you for your approval.
Mr. Gillespie makes the motion in a second.
Second.
Mr. Garrison seconds the motion. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Thank you.
Thank you. Under transfers, we have some in food service. Carrie Dodds transferring from B&L to Parkview cook. Carla Hudson transferring from Olytic to BMS cook. Alicia Marshall transferring from Olytic to B&L cook. And I bring those to you for your approval.
Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Garrison makes the motion. Second.
Second.
Mr. Gilbert seconds the motion. Questions on the motion?
Are those all lateral transfers again, since it's the same? Or at least, or an increase again?
Yes.
I'm on the Zoom meeting.
Any other questions on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
Thank you. And for your information, we have some resignations, 1 certified and 6 under support. And again, those are information items. There is actually one, the bottom, that we had listed as resignation. I just received an email from Stacy saying that Mary Beth Ritchie is actually a retirement. And that had been listed wrong on the personnel form. So I want to bring that to your attention, that that is actually a retirement. And that is all I have for tonight.
Okay, thank you, Christie. Item I, persons to address the board. First up, Jeff Callahan.
Well, I didn't say this part. Excuse me. No, go
All
ahead.
right.
Go ahead, Ron.
Sure?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I've got a question. Can we get the same information or the record that you guys get to look at? Ours is just an itemized sheet. It doesn't have the full information you get. Is it possible? I'm just asking.
Some of it public record or something.
It is?
But
So, okay.
you request it.
Thank you, Greg. Okay, my next question, when can I go through the Springville school? You said last time there's many keys out there. So do I just ask the superintendent to get a key to just go through it, walk through it? Or who do I ask, how do I get a key?
Contact me and we can talk.
You will? Okay,
I didn't say we will, we'll talk about it.
that's an answer.
Was a question that he answered to.
Thanks, sir. You're gonna be cordial tonight?
Sure,
Thank
always
you.
am.
Really? Okay. And when will the school be handed over to the township? Again, I'm gonna ask at every meeting I'm here.
Okay, yeah, you do, and I'm gonna answer
I know
this.
you will.
Okay, so you might wanna ask those questions of your trustee
Okay,
and or his counsel.
why should he even have to have a council?
Why, I don't know. You answer me that.
Because the law says you have to hand it back.
Okay, so it's been several weeks now, and we've received no response, so that's the answer to your question.
You got your response?
I give you the response.
Okay. That's all I have for tonight. I'm sure there'll be more. And I'm gonna say it anyways. Did you guys research on Google AstroTurf versus grass? The verdict's not in yet on the ACL tears with artificial grass versus grass. I mean, there's all kinds of things on Google. I just did a Google search. And what I've read, in the long run, it costs more for the artificial turf than having nice, pretty grass. So I've just looked at it a little bit. So have any of you guys done that? Do a Google search, grass versus artificial.
So you're asking which we think is better? Well, I would
You
say-
played on it, I know.
I would probably say the turf is, since that's what the
Okay.
NFL and all the colleges play on. I don't think they'd be playing on something that's substandard.
No, I wouldn't think either.
Okay, so, I mean, if you're asking what I think is better, I think the
Okay.
turf is. As far as the price goes, I don't know, because I'm new to all this. The only
Right.
information I have is the information we're given.
Okay, thank you, Rusty. Also, I read that it was hot, or it would get hot. Is that addressed with how we're gonna keep it from getting hot?
I think
The
all
plastic.
of, I think I asked
Yeah,
a
you
lot of
probably
those
did.
questions at the
Okay.
last meeting to the gentleman that was here from the professional that was here from that company.
And he was here.
Okay.
He heard
Yeah,
those. He's
Yeah,
just,
so I think I asked a lot of those questions and I think he answered most of
It's
them.
gonna heat up. I know it's plastic, so it's gonna heat up with
I
the
think we
sun.
talked
It's gonna be
about
hotter than, I don't know, about all asphalt, it's gonna be hot. So, what,
It gets
Jeremy?
hot. But I don't think baseball's played in July,
Right.
throughout July. I think they practice in March, April, May.
Okay,
I don't think football's in the summer either. Now, people will be on it and using it, but
right,
the majority of the people that are gonna use it for school function, is not gonna be in July
okay.
that often. Besides maybe the,
And then my next comment, which you won't answer this at all, so, oh, you done? I'm sorry, Chairman, go ahead. Is that it? That's good responses for most of them in the fall. Or spring, right?
I would assume so if we were in school.
Pardon me?
I would assume so if we were in school.
Right, okay. So my next thing is, was it worth closing our rural schools down for this? You don't have to answer that. That's just,
There's two different issues.
right. But it's, still hurts us people out in the county.
It hurts me to have to make that decision too.
I'm glad to hear that. I appreciate that. So,
thanks for
thank
your
you for your
comments.
time. I
and thanks for
appreciate
your
it.
Questions.
thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
You too, Chairman.
Item J, closing business. Oh, I'm sorry.
My card in.
I forgot. Yeah, you were,
Sorry.
you were up there first and you jumped up there, so.
Get the what?
Athletic director.
That's right.
He's a good guy.
Thanks for allowing me a couple of things. I will address a few of the questions. I don't know if I can do that, but I'm going to, and then you can tell me later that I can. Bloomington North and Bloomington South on their baseball fields now, and on their football fields the first time through. Martinsville on their football field, Seymour, Columbus East, Jennings County, Madison, Floyd Central, and New Albany. Those are all school corporations that funded their turf projects similar to bond issues like we are. So that was a question that was asked here this evening that I found out about. So that's in some of the research that I've done with, with fellow athletic directors that have been in the same process that we are, trying to do good things for their community, good things for their kids. And, I think that's what's happening. And, again, Mr. Berger's here this evening with marching band, athletics, PE, the community. There's a lot to it, besides just, football, and it's just a lot of good things. And to answer the heat questions, there's places a lot hotter than Bedford, Indiana, where they have the same type of turf that we would have if we were fortunate enough to get turf. So, there's a lot. I know it's a lot on your plate, but I think it would be great for our athletes, for our students, for our band members, for the community, and just overall, it would be a great addition to our school corporation. Thank you.
Thank you for doing the research and sharing that information with the board, with the facts and stuff from other corporations, Jeff. We appreciate it. I would like to leave on another positive note before I read the minutes. Last meeting, I don't think the board will mind me speaking on their behalf. I want to thank the staff. They pulled off a great graduation ceremony, and it was, I think, the least we could do, weather cooperated, the least we could do for the 2020 graduates. And I know there was a whole lot of work that went into that from the whole staff. I know there were lots and lots of folks out there on that field measuring chairs, and it looked fantastic. A lot of behind the scenes work was done, and I didn't get to share that at the last meeting with some of the things that were going on, but I wanted to say that tonight. Great job by everybody involved. So wanted that to go on the record, something positive for the staff. So thanks to everyone for that. Upcoming meetings, there'll be an executive session at 5:15 p.m. and an NLCS school board open session at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, August 20th of 2020 at the NLCS administration building. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion and a second. All in favor? Thank you.
We're done, thank you.
I was like,
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.